Have you ever found yourself wondering if getting remarried is the right step at this point in your life? It's a question more and more people are asking as they enter their 50s and beyond, an age when love, companionship, and personal fulfillment take on new and deeper meanings. Remarrying after 50 is not the same as it was in your 20s or 30s. The stakes are higher, the circumstances more complex, and the consequences, both positive and negative, more impactful. At this stage, the decision to remarry can influence your finances, family dynamics, emotional well-being, and long-term happiness in ways that are often overlooked until it's too late. Whether you've been single for a while, are recently divorced, or have experienced the loss of a spouse, stepping into a new marriage brings both opportunities and challenges. It's not just about finding love again, it's about integrating two well-established lives, often with decades of habits, financial planning, children, and personal goals already in place. And while the idea of having a second chance at love is incredibly meaningful, it also comes with its own set of realities that require thoughtful reflection. In this video, we're going to reveal 6 essential truths that everyone should understand before remarrying after 50. These insights can help you make more informed, empowered decisions, ones that lead to deeper connection, greater security, and lasting fulfillment. Too often, people rush into remarriage driven by emotion or loneliness, only to find themselves dealing with unexpected conflicts, stress, and regret down the line. But with the right knowledge and preparation, you can avoid these pitfalls and create a relationship that truly complements the life you've built so far. Whether you're seriously considering remarrying soon or simply exploring the possibility, this is information you don't want to miss. Understanding these 6 truths could be the difference between future happiness and unnecessary heartache. So grab a cup of coffee, settle in, and stay with us until the end. You might just gain a new perspective on love, commitment, and what it truly means to build a life with someone in the second half of your journey. Before we begin, if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. If you enjoy this video, please type 1 in the comments. If you don't like it, type 0 in the comments to let me know so I can make better videos for you. Now let's get started. Truth 1. Your financial reality will shift. Even if you're not expecting it, one of the most significant and often underestimated realities of remarrying after 50 is how deeply it can affect your finances. By this point in life, money isn't just about covering day-to-day expenses. It's about protecting your retirement, honoring your family legacy, and maintaining the stability you've worked decades to build. It's easy to get caught up in the emotional side of love, especially when it feels like a second chance. But marriage isn't just a romantic commitment. It's also a legal and financial contract, and it can trigger a cascade of unexpected changes if you're not prepared. Take something as seemingly simple as Social Security benefits. If you're receiving survivor benefits or spousal support from a previous marriage, remarrying might reduce or even eliminate that income. For many people, especially widows or widowers who rely on that support, it can come as a shock. Suddenly, the financial plan you thought was solid is missing a major piece. Pensions and survivor benefits bring another layer of complexity. In some cases, the moment you remarry, those benefits vanish. And if you're counting on that money for healthcare or everyday expenses, losing it could force a major lifestyle adjustment. These policies vary by employer and state, so understanding the fine print ahead of time is critical. Then there's the matter of estate planning and retirement savings. When you remarry, you're not just merging lives, you're merging financial histories. That includes savings, assets, debt, and very different attitudes about money. Even if you choose to keep bank accounts separate, the law might still consider much of what you both have as joint property, especially if you live in a community property state. This can affect everything from how your estate is divided to how your retirement funds are taxed or transferred. Things get even more personal when adult children or grandchildren are in the picture. You may have always planned to leave certain assets to them, but remarriage can unintentionally change those plans. Without proper legal safeguards, your new spouse may be entitled to a share of your estate that you intended for your children. That's not about bad intentions, it's simply how the law works unless you say otherwise in writing. Let's look at Ellen, a 69-year-old divorcee who remarried after nearly a decade of being single. She assumed her carefully prepared estate plan would stay intact, but after remarrying, she learned that her new husband, by default, had legal claims that overrode the instructions in her will. What followed were difficult conversations with her children and a rushed effort to update legal documents before anything unexpected happened. The emotional toll could have been avoided with earlier planning. These situations are far more common than people realize. The good news is they're also preventable. Before saying "I do" again, sit down with a financial advisor or estate planning attorney who understands the unique challenges of later in life transitions. Discuss your retirement income, property ownership, inheritance goals, debts, and financial boundaries. Consider tools like prenups, trusts, and updated beneficiary designations to ensure your wishes are clear and protected. These conversations may feel awkward, but they are acts of love. They're about protecting not only your finances, but your relationships with your partner, your children, and your future self. Because remarriage should bring comfort, not confusion. Security, not stress. And the best way to make that happen is to walk into it informed and empowered from the start. Truth 2. Family dynamics can become complex, and that's okay. Remarrying after 50 is about more than joining two hearts. It's about weaving together two entire life stories. And with those stories come family traditions, expectations, and emotional histories that don't always blend seamlessly. While falling in love again can be joyful and fulfilling, it also opens the door to a different kind of challenge, navigating the complex emotional landscape of your families. Unlike younger couples who are starting fresh, many people later in life bring with them decades of relationships, with adult children, grandchildren, former in-laws, and lifelong friends. Each of these individuals has their own memories, loyalties, and opinions. And when you remarry, their world shifts too. One of the most delicate hurdles involves adult children. Even if they genuinely want you to be happy, their reactions can be unexpectedly emotional. Some may feel like your remarriage dishonors the memory of a late spouse. Others may worry about changes in family traditions, how holidays will be celebrated, or even how a new partner could affect future inheritance. While some children may immediately embrace your new spouse, others might struggle with acceptance, concern, or even silent resentment. These responses aren't unusual, they're human. Consider this: your children have known you in one role their entire lives. Suddenly they're being asked to adjust to a new family dynamic that may feel unfamiliar or even threatening. And while your happiness is important, so is their need for reassurance that your love for them and the family you've built won't be diminished. The ripple effect can extend to grandchildren too. If you've been a central figure in their lives, a remarriage can feel like a shift in identity or attention. Even young children can sense changes in emotional energy or family routines. And then there's the other side of the equation: your new spouse's family. Their children and grandchildren may also have questions, concerns, or expectations. Blending these two familial ecosystems requires patience, empathy, and clear communication. Financial concerns often become an added layer of tension. Children, on either side, may worry that a new partner will influence decisions about inheritance, property, or legacy. They may fear that what was once a secure and predictable future is now uncertain. These concerns aren't always rooted in greed. More often they stem from a deep desire to protect what was promised or assumed, and if they feel blindsided or excluded from conversations, misunderstandings can fester into lasting resentment. Take Susan's story, for instance. At 68, she found love again after being widowed for over 10 years. She was thrilled to be starting a new chapter, but her children had mixed feelings. They questioned how the remarriage would affect family gatherings, whether the new spouse would live in their father's house, and what would happen to family heirlooms. Susan quickly realized that her excitement had to be tempered with careful, compassionate conversations, because for her family, this wasn't just about a wedding, it was about their identity, their memories, and their place in her evolving life. So, if you're contemplating remarriage, start the conversation early. Be honest with your children and grandchildren. Let them express their feelings, even the uncomfortable ones. Set expectations around what will stay the same and what may change. Involve them where appropriate, and make space for their concerns without defensiveness. These conversations may not be easy, but they're essential. Done with love and openness, they can pave the way for healing, trust, and even new bonds between blended families. Remarriage later in life isn't about replacing the past, it's about enriching your future. And when families feel seen, heard, and respected, they're far more likely to embrace that future with you. Truth 3. Emotional expectations evolve with age, and that's a good thing. By the time you reach your 50s, 60s, or beyond, life has likely provided you with a vast range of experiences: love, loss, personal growth, and change. When it comes to remarriage, those years of lived experiences significantly shape how you approach relationships and, more importantly, what you expect emotionally from them. While the desire for connection remains, the reasons behind it and the way you seek it out may look quite different than before. In your younger years, marriage often revolved around building something together: careers, raising children, creating a home, and looking toward the future. But in the second chapter of life, marriage is less about the physical act of building and more about the emotional act of simply being present, being understood, and being supported. As you approach love again, companionship, emotional intimacy, and mutual respect take center stage, not just shared goals or obligations. One of the most noticeable changes that takes many by surprise is the level of independence each partner brings into the relationship. By this time, both you and your potential spouse have developed lives that reflect your personal values, preferences, and rhythms. You likely have your own routines, social circles, and even quiet moments of reflection that have become an essential part of your daily peace. The thought of inviting someone else into this established world can feel both thrilling and at times unsettling. Remarriage doesn't mean letting go of your personal identity. It means learning to share space while still preserving the freedom and autonomy you've worked so hard to cultivate. This takes intention. It's not just about finding a partner to grow old with. It's about finding someone who honors your individuality, understands the importance of solitude, and respects both your past and your present. This brings up a crucial conversation: expectations. What does love look like for you now? How much time do you want to spend together versus apart? Do you envision merging households, maintaining separate living spaces, or traveling as a couple? How do you each manage stress, conflict, and emotional vulnerability? These can be difficult topics to broach, but discussing them early on can set a foundation for a healthier, more fulfilling relationship. And let's not overlook the emotional baggage that both you and your partner bring to the table. Whether it's the scars of a tough divorce or the grief of losing a spouse, those past experiences leave an indelible mark. They shape the way you express love, handle disagreements, trust others, and protect yourself emotionally. Sometimes old wounds may resurface in new relationships, but that's where the beauty of remarriage later in life lies. You both bring wisdom, compassion, and emotional maturity that allows for a deeper connection. Consider Jack, a 66-year-old widower who found love again after many years of being single. After losing his wife, he never thought he'd find another partner who could fill the void. But when he met someone new, his emotional landscape had shifted. His new wife, Tina, had experienced her own losses, and together they learned to navigate their respective histories, understanding that their emotional scars didn't define them. They were simply part of their journeys. They approached their new marriage with patience and open communication, embracing the love they shared without trying to replicate past relationships. If you're considering remarriage, take a moment to reflect on what your past relationships have taught you. What are you seeking now in love? What boundaries do you need to maintain, and where are you willing to compromise? These reflections will help you approach a new relationship with clarity and purpose, enabling you to build a partnership that aligns with the person you are today, not the person you were in your youth. Ultimately, remarriage at this stage of life is not about trying to relive the past or recreate what you once had. It's about forging a relationship that honors the people you've become. Two complete individuals choosing to walk side by side, not out of necessity, but out of genuine desire. So, if you're thinking about remarrying, take time to talk about more than just the practicalities of life. Talk about your feelings, your fears, and your visions of love, not as something idealized, but as a conscious, evolving choice. Because when you acknowledge and respect your emotional expectations, love in your later years can be deeper, more fulfilling, and far richer than you ever imagined. Truth 4. Legal considerations matter. More than you think, love may be the heart of marriage, but the law is its framework, and when you're remarrying after 50, that legal framework becomes far more significant than many people realize. It's easy to focus on the emotional connection, the companionship, and the hope of building a joyful life together. But behind every "I do" lies a legally binding contract that can dramatically affect your rights, responsibilities, and long-term plans. If you don't take the time to understand the legal implications of remarriage, You might unintentionally jeopardize your assets, your healthcare wishes, or your family's future. Let's start with one of the most overlooked but important areas: estate planning. When you get married, your new spouse often gains automatic legal rights to your estate, sometimes even overriding previous wills or inheritance plans. This can come as a shock, especially if you've already planned to pass your assets to children, grandchildren, or other loved ones. Without updated legal documents, your carefully laid intentions may not be honored. Imagine this scenario. You've spent decades building a legacy, saving for retirement, and planning to pass along property, heirlooms, or savings to your children. After your remarriage, your spouse, unless otherwise specified, may now be legally entitled to a portion of those assets, even if that wasn't your original intent. This isn't about mistrust. It's about clarity and protection for everyone involved. By updating your will, setting up trusts, and being specific about your wishes, you can avoid family disputes and ensure your legacy is preserved as you intended. Legal planning doesn't stop there. Another crucial consideration is medical decision-making. If something were to happen, an illness, an accident, or a sudden medical event, who would have the legal right to make decisions on your behalf? In most cases, your spouse is automatically granted that authority. But what if your children expected to have a say? What if their opinions conflict with your new partner's? These types of emotionally charged situations can quickly become complicated and painful. That's why it's essential to create advanced healthcare directives and designate a medical power of attorney. These documents don't just outline your healthcare preferences, they make it clear who you trust to advocate for you. Having this in place can bring peace of mind to both your spouse and your family members. And then there's the often taboo topic, prenuptial agreements. While the idea of a prenup might feel uncomfortable, maybe even unromantic, the reality is that it can be one of the most loving and respectful decisions you make. A thoughtfully written prenup doesn't signal doubt or mistrust. It simply protects both parties and outlines expectations clearly. In fact, having these conversations up front can prevent financial misunderstandings down the line and provide a sense of security for both you and your families. A prenuptial agreement can define how property will be divided, how debts will be handled, and what financial responsibilities each partner is bringing into the marriage. This can be especially important if either of you owns a business, has significant retirement savings, or plans to leave assets to children from previous relationships. The goal isn't to divide, it's to preserve, protect, and clarify. Take Mary and Alan, for example. They each had adult children and owned separate homes when they married in their early 60s. By working with an attorney to draft a prenup, they were able to set clear boundaries around their finances, protect their children's inheritances, and ensure that their marriage was built on trust and transparency. Rather than causing friction, their agreement actually gave them more freedom to enjoy their time together, free from worry or confusion about the future. The bottom line, if you're considering remarriage later in life, don't treat the legal aspects as an afterthought. Sit down with an experienced estate planner or attorney. Have the tough conversations, put everything in writing. Taking these steps now can save you and your loved ones from stress, conflict, and legal battles later. Truth 5. The definition of happiness changes as you grow older. As we journey through life, the way we define happiness naturally evolves. In our younger years, marriage is often tied to building a family, a home, a career, and a future. It's about dreams, growth, and shared ambition. But after 50, the priorities shift. Happiness becomes less about constructing something new and more about savoring what you've already built. It's about maintaining balance, enjoying the present, and protecting your peace. So before stepping into remarriage, it's essential to pause and ask yourself, what does happiness look like for me now? And will this relationship support or disrupt that happiness? Too often, people assume that remarrying will automatically reignite joy or fill emotional gaps. But the truth is, happiness at this stage in life often stems from intention, clarity, and compatibility, not just romance. It's about understanding your own needs, whether that's companionship, independence, emotional support, or simply someone to share quiet moments with. The things that once made you happy might no longer serve you, and that's okay. What matters is recognizing what brings you peace and fulfillment now. Many individuals over 50 have cultivated deeply personal lifestyles. You've got routines that bring you comfort, hobbies you cherish, maybe even a home that feels like a sanctuary. A new marriage introduces another person's world into yours, their habits, their pace, their preferences. Sometimes that blend creates harmony. Other times, it causes friction. That's why lifestyle compatibility is just as important as emotional connection. Ask yourself, do they enjoy the same kind of social life? Are their mornings quiet or active? Do they prefer to travel or stay local? Even small differences, how you handle downtime, spend money, or make decisions, can have a big impact on your day-to-day happiness. And at this stage, every day matters. Consider the story of Lena, a 67-year-old retired teacher who met her partner, Daniel, through a community garden project. At first, their connection was magnetic. They shared stories, laughed often, and truly enjoyed each other's company. After a year of dating, they married. But as daily life set in, Lena began to notice how different their approaches to happiness were. Daniel loved to host dinner parties and was always on the go, craving constant stimulation. Lena, on the other hand, found deep joy in solitude, journaling, and quiet evenings with a good book. What started as subtle differences turned into recurring tension. Lena didn't feel lonely before marriage, but now constantly adjusting to Daniel's pace, she missed the serenity she once had. Though they cared for each other deeply, Lena had to face a hard truth. She'd been happier alone, not because she didn't want love, but because she didn't want to lose herself in the process. Her story isn't about regret, it's about rediscovery. Sometimes it takes stepping into a new situation to realize how important your current happiness really is. And that's why reflection before remarriage is so critical. Ask yourself, do I want to merge lives completely? Or would I prefer to maintain some independence? Would I be happier living separately, but sharing time together intentionally? Is this relationship adding to my joy or asking me to sacrifice it? There's no one-size-fits-all answer. For some, a traditional shared home and intertwined lives feel perfect. For others, a committed relationship with separate spaces offers the best of both worlds. What matters is that you're honest with yourself and your partner about what brings you happiness now, not what used to. Truth 6. Communication is the key to understanding and success. Communication is always important in a relationship, but it becomes even more crucial when you remarry after 50. At this stage of life, both partners come into the marriage with established routines, emotional histories, financial responsibilities, and personal values. These factors shape how they approach the relationship, and the only way to truly understand each other is through clear, honest communication. One of the first things to address is financial expectations. Many people assume that remarriage is just about love and companionship, but the financial implications can be significant. How will money be handled? Will you maintain separate bank accounts or combine them? What about pensions, retirement savings, or Social Security benefits? These are sensitive topics that must be discussed openly to avoid future conflicts. For instance, remarriage may affect pension benefits or Social Security, and understanding these potential changes is crucial for both partners. Emotional needs are another vital topic that requires attention. When you're remarried later in life, you and your partner likely have different ways of managing emotions, handling stress, or expressing affection. It's important to talk about these differences so that you can navigate them together. You may also want to clarify your expectations around time spent together versus personal space. What kind of emotional support do you need? How do you prefer to deal with conflict? These conversations help build a deeper emotional connection and ensure that both partners feel heard and valued. Family dynamics also play a big role. If either of you has adult children, grandchildren, or ex-spouses, discussing how these relationships will be managed is crucial. Will your children be involved in decision-making? How will you handle holidays or family gatherings? Setting clear boundaries and being on the same page about family roles can prevent misunderstandings and resentment. Lifestyle preferences and long-term plans are also important to discuss. Do you want to live in the same home, or do you prefer separate spaces? How do you envision spending your retirement years? These decisions affect your daily life and overall happiness, so having open discussions about them can help you align your goals and expectations. The key to all of these conversations is creating a safe space where both partners feel heard, respected, and understood. Communication isn't just about addressing problems, it's about fostering a healthy, ongoing dialogue where both people can share their feelings, needs, and desires. Many people entering remarriage later in life are seeking peace, stability, and mutual respect, not drama or conflict. By keeping communication open and regular, you set the foundation for a more successful and fulfilling relationship. Take the example of George and Sandra, who before marrying sat down and had frank discussions about finances, family involvement, and their lifestyle preferences. This openness created a strong sense of mutual respect and understanding, allowing them to navigate challenges more easily and enjoy their remarriage with a clear sense of purpose. In the end, communication is the cornerstone of any lasting relationship. While you might not always agree on everything, the key is to approach each other with patience, empathy, and a willingness to listen. When both partners are committed to keeping the lines of communication open, remarriage can be an enriching, harmonious experience. As we wrap up, take a moment to reflect on what we've explored today. Remarrying after 50 can be a beautiful, fulfilling journey, but it's not something to enter into lightly. It comes with its own set of realities that are often overlooked until it's too late. From family dynamics and financial planning to emotional expectations, legal matters, your evolving definition of happiness, and the critical role of communication, these are all factors worth considering before you make this important decision. The truth is, marriage later in life doesn't have to look like it did in your 20s or 30s. It's not about following old traditions. It's about making intentional choices that serve you and your future. Some people find deep joy in remarriage, while others discover that maintaining independence or forming non-traditional partnerships brings them the most peace. Whatever path you choose, make sure it reflects your values, lifestyle, and long-term well-being. Thank you so much for spending time with us today. We'd love to hear from you. What's one thing you learned from this video, and how do you plan to apply it in your own life? Leave a comment below. We read every single one, and your stories inspire us. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with someone who might benefit. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.